Well, Cardi B has it, and despite someone trying to take it from her, she still has money. Well, despite some comedic and sometimes bizarre behavior, it took a jury less than an hour to rule in favor of Cardi B in the trial where she was sued for $24 million by a female security guard who claims the Bronx Queen assaulted her. Now, what could have happened that was so bad that it'd be worth $24 million? And why is it that not only did a jury not award the $24 million, but they gave the plaintiff a big fat zero? Well, put on your favorite Cardi B wig and join me in a legal deep dive of the Cardi B civil assault trial. What's good, people? I hope you're doing okay. I actually just got back from the beach, and I tell you what I learned is that, I went to the beach, trying to make it a combined multi-purpose trip. Brought the wife, a couple of the kids, the dog, and I learned that just because I take my laptop doesn't mean I'm going to actually get any work done. You're spending time with your wife, spending time with my kids individually, together. You got to walk the dog, and that in itself was a little bit of an adventure. We'd never taken our dog to the beach before, and we were actually excited about walking our dog on the beach, because whenever we go, we see people walking their dogs on the beach. I'm like, man, we got to do that sometime. But the reality of it is, for me, is I like to start my mornings easy at the beach, drink a cup of coffee, watch the ocean. But nope. You gotta get up, get dressed, take the dog out, put your shoes on, put your shorts on. Oh, gotta put on some sunscreen so you don't get sunburned. Take the dog down 3 flights of stairs because the condo does not have an elevator, and then take the dog out to go to the bathroom. And once you're down there, you're thinking, well, I need to kind of go ahead and walk the dog because we're out here. We don't want to take her all the way back upstairs and walk her later. So you spend like 30 minutes doing all that, and then you can come back and drink your coffee. So it was definitely a different experience. And of course, hearing myself talk, it does sound kind of odd to hear anybody complaining about spending a few days at the beach with your wife and your kids and your dog. But I think the problem was my expectation that I get any work done kind of overshadowed everything, because I probably got 90 minutes worth of work done in 3 days. So lesson learned, but still a great time. All right. Now, by the way, those of you with a keen legal eye may have noticed something different about me today. No, I did not join the hair club for men. I did think about it, but that damn political butt kisser Cy Sperling became president.
And by the way, I'm not only the hair club president, but I'm also a client.
Anyway, before we begin, please go ahead and like and subscribe so you get all my legal updates and potentially maybe my newest wigs. Now, the reason I'm wearing this wig is that during Cardi B's trial, one of the ways that she captivated and intrigued everyone, the media, the jury, is with all her different wigs. At one point, even while she's on the witness stand, the attorney for the person suing her actually asked her questions about the wigs because he was somewhat confused about the variety of wigs she was wearing throughout the trial every day. And she actually responded while on the witness stand that she was actually having a good wig day. And the funny thing is, on a side note, I really kind of just think that was just very poor strategic choice for her, the plaintiff's attorney, to ask her that question on the witness stand. I do believe that when he kind of gets caught up and sucked into her antics and her wigs, what he is allowing her to do and is have the jury focus less on the case and more on her antics and her charisma and all the things that make Cardi such a charismatic, intriguing person for the jury to focus on. So I do think the fact that he asked her about that while she's on the witness stand was just a big legal blunder, and just with a distraction that did not help their case. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that her colorful behavior, her authenticity, the way she captivated the jury and the public affected the outcome of that trial. All right, how you like me now? Okay, let's talk about the basis of the lawsuit to kind of make sure you have a basic understanding of what happened. Basically, a security guard, a female security guard, alleges that in 2018, while she was working at a doctor's office, that Cardi B was there. Cardi B was pregnant at the time and actually leaving a medical appointment. She alleges that during that time, Cardi B, had an altercation with her, spit on her, scratched her face, and as a result of that altercation, the security guard was fired and got this scratch on her face. Cardi B, of course, claims that the security guard is exaggerating what happened. While they did have an argument, it was a result of the security guard, video recording Cardi when she was leaving the office. And Cardi got upset about that, and she talked to her and maybe even yelled at her, but that was the extent of it. Now, the security guard filed this lawsuit alleging damages and requesting $24 million against Cardi B. Now, the first thing that comes to my mind was just a major strategic mistake by the security guard and her moron plaintiff's attorney. I mean, alleging $24 million is just ridiculous. I mean, yeah, it's headline grabbing for them to, have this lawsuit that says Cardi B sued for $24 million. Yeah, that's going to grab headlines. But in reality, when a jury hears about a number that big and they hear about a person that got a scratch on her face, it reeks of exactly what it is. That a person is greedy and it's a money grab, an attempt to shake down a celebrity. There's no doubt in my mind that a jury will be shocked and even offended by someone with basically superficial injuries requesting that much money in a lawsuit. Because I have to tell you that jurors are always skeptical of frivolous lawsuits. I mean, you hear about it in the news all the time. What's the case? The lady, got burned by the hot coffee at McDonald's and got $5 million. That's what's always in jurors' minds. They do not just like going around giving people money, especially when people are asking for more money than these jurors have seen in their entire lives. Obscene amounts of money. And the way most jurors think is that, hey, everybody's been hurt. I'm hurt. I got a bad back. I hurt my shoulder at work 5 years ago. I still work. I still go on. Why should we give somebody that has some back pain or some neck pain or had a bad day $2 million? Jurors do not like that. And actually, even in a good case where someone is injured and suffers real serious injuries, if they ask for too much money, an amount the jury thinks is just outrageous or unwarranted, then what can often happen is the jury actually give them less money than their case is worth because they think the person being greedy or exaggerating their injuries or make moral judgments about why they ask them so much money and what they do with it. I mean, those are the things jurors think about. They don't just think, hey, I'm gonna give you $1 million. No, they think, okay, does this person even deserve this kind of money? Are the injuries really that bad? What are they gonna do with the money anyway? What good is giving the money gonna do? Is it gonna change your life? They make those types of, thoughts and choices and decisions and consider those factors when they're trying to decide how much money they're gonna give. So again, going in asking for that much money was just boneheaded and just dumb. Now, I also want to talk about some of the intangibles that I think influence the outcome of the trial. And, I believe every trial has what I call intangibles, which are circumstances that go beyond the basic factual allegations and the basic injuries. These circumstances influence the juror's decision, how they perceive the parties, how they feel about the lawsuit, and things like that will influence the decision that really doesn't have to do with the basic allegations or the injuries. Now, one of the big intangibles I see in this case that is negative for the plaintiff, and even if you take into account that it's just not a celebrity, you take Cardi B out of the equation, you take it just a regular woman, and this security guard get into an altercation with a regular, non-celebrity individual, the whole idea that this woman is working as a security guard at a doctor's office and gets into an altercation with a pregnant woman leaving a medical appointment, I think is going to not really sit well with jurors. I mean, a security guard is supposed to be, protecting the patients, protecting the doctors. And they got to be thinking, what kind of security guard gets into a fight with a pregnant woman leaving a medical appointment? Because that's what happened. And if you think about that, no one wants to give that person money. That's going to offend some people. That's going to call into question what kind of judgment this person was exercising, How credible is her version of what happened? And as far as the security guard claiming, she suffered financial harm because she was fired as a result of the altercation, well, guess what? Her dumb ass should have been fired. She got into a fight with a pregnant woman leaving a medical appointment. Now I'm going to talk about another intangible that affected this trial, and it's the jury really liking Cardi B. And I will tell you, normally I'm the first person to tell you that being liked is overrated. Never has worked for me, okay? But I will tell you that from a trial standpoint, whether it's a civil trial or a criminal trial, a jury liking one of the parties pays huge dividends across the board. I mean, irrespective of the facts or the law or the jury charge a judge gives, if a jury likes a party to a trial, they will look for ways to help that person out. They will believe that person of other witnesses. They will give that person the benefit of the doubt. They will sympathize with that person's plight. And what can happen is, when it's time to render a verdict, if it's a criminal case, for example, they could convict the defendant of a lesser charge. And while, going to prison is always bad, it's a big difference when you get convicted of a crime that carries only 10 years as opposed to one that carries 30 years in prison. In a civil case, if you're the defendant, it could be, a defense verdict like there was in this case, or if you're the plaintiff, it could be, giving you substantially more money. There's a big difference between a jury verdict of $500,000 versus $100,000. And when you talk about the Cardi B in that context, I'm going to go ahead and call it like I see it right now. Cardi B stole the show. During this trial, all eyes were on her, and she did not disappoint. Whether she was on the witness stand or sitting at the table with her attorney, Cardi's charisma, her mannerisms, her demeanor just kept everyone hanging on her every word and every move. She had that jury in that courtroom in the palm of her hand, seemingly without even trying. And I'll give you a couple of examples. When the attorney for the security guard was cross-examining Cardi, and I guess trying to suggest she was being aggressive with the woman, he asked Cardi B if he called the security guard fat. And Cardi responded, "No, I called her a bitch." Again, as I said earlier, he asked her about the wigs, and she's like, "Hey, it's a good wig day." Even when she was at the table, not on the witness stand, she actually dozed off during the trial. Like she just, was like, whatever you guys want to do is fine with me. She was just so authentic throughout the trial, and the jury just loved it. And I do have to say it, being authentic is always the best way to go when you're a party to a trial. Trying to be something you're not, trying to project this image that you would like the jury to have of you, it doesn't work. You might be able to keep it up for a couple hours if you're just kind of giving some sound bites and you're smiling. But throughout the course of the trial, your true self, the person you really are, is gonna come out. And the jury, when they realize you're trying to be phony and you're trying to be fake for them, they will turn on you and hold it against you. The most recent example I can think about from a high profile standpoint is Amber Heard during the Johnny Depp trial. Amber Heard, when you listen to her from the beginning, she tried to make herself out to be this victim, this great humanitarian. She didn't care about money. She was just treated so poorly. She was such a victim. And it was obvious that was all a lie. That is not who she was. And the jury hated her. And not only did they not give her any money, they ordered her to pay Johnny Depp like $20 million or some absurd number, but that's what happens. But Cardi was just who she was. She's like, this is who I am. I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm not going to apologize for who I am. And the jury loved her for it because she's a very charismatic person. Now, I do want to point out, to be fair, that after the defense verdict in Cardi B's favor, the security guard claims that the jury got it wrong and that this was a miscarriage of justice. Now, personally and professionally, I disagree with the rent-a-cop. This was the very definition of a frivolous lawsuit. It was clearly an attempt to shake down a celebrity and try to squeeze some money out of her. Although the jury gave her zero, I actually think the jury did her a favor. If I was on the jury, not only would I have given her zero, I would have ordered her to pay Cardi B's attorney's fees. If it were up to me, she would not have gotten what she wanted, but she would have gotten what she deserved. Now, you might agree with me, or you might not like what I'm saying. I really don't give a damn. Either way, do me a favor, post your comments, and call it like you see it. That's it. Well, that's all I got, but I do appreciate you taking the time to join me on this legal deep dive. I think it's always fun to discuss these topics, tell you what I think, and get your feedback. I would really appreciate it if you took the time to like the video, subscribe to the podcast, and also I'd appreciate you sending me your comments so we can discuss the topics you want to hear about. That's it.